Sup fellow Skibidi Sigmas, today we are going to discuss who would win between Saitama and Griffith. Bit awkward with the introduction as this is my first long form video ever made. But anyway, who would win in this matchup? But before that answer is concluded, we must first examine their stats, abilities, skills, and other things that would be relevant to this fight. So anyway, let's analysis. First up we got Saitama, the first being on Earth who seemingly have endless power due to removing his limiter. Able to beat any monsters with one punch, even those who can split continents and merge with the world's oceans. And most notable feat is Saitama destroying an entire constellations of stars while clashing fists with Garou. You could even further upscale Saitama's scaling, as it was stated in a tweet that their fight goes into a higher dimension. Most scalers would quickly call this a hyperbole or hype, but it is consistent with later chapters stating God's powers came from a higher dimension, while showing a tesseract which qualifies for a higher spatial dimension. Saitama even have casually catched Empty Void's blades with his fingers, which came from the hyperspace, which is a space that has more than 3 dimensions. As for speed, at the lowest lowball, Saitama should be faster than light, as he was able to perception Blitz Flashy Flash, who was stated to be FTL in speeds. He is also able to make entire light beams crossing across IO during his fight with Cosmic Garou, which would give much high-end speed ratings. As for abilities, hacks, Saitama usually don't have much compared to most characters in fiction, but still packs quite the punch, such as when he was able to punch through Phoenix Man's mental landscape, which is the mind thought itself, grabbing hyperspace gates, grabbing Empty Void's blades, which said able to cut through space itself, a fear-inducing presence that makes surrounding enemies afraid of him, such as with Carnage Kabuto, development acceleration, and causality manipulation as stated by Genos himself and the manga panel. Genos also said that no matter how many parallel worlds that exist, Garou cannot beat Saitama at all. Even if the worst case scenario would happen, Saitama would just transcend space and time itself. This should give Saitama pretty good fate probability manipulation. Now on to Griffith's scaling. His power should be above everyone in the verse as narratively be the strongest, with exceptions such as Idea of Evil. This would include Ganishka forming towers above clouds, or when he himself create a storm by simply with his presence, which is calculated to be mountain level. But of course Griffith has much higher scaling metas, such as being on a higher plane of existence and be called a transcendental being. In terms of speed, Griffith doesn't really have much feats on it other than upscaling from Guts, who is faster than lightning. You could however argue his speed be superior than Skull Knight, who exists outside of time, which grants him like infinite to inaccessible speed, even though being outside of time doesn't really give any speed feats as time is undefined. Abilities hacks. Griffith has ludicrous amount of it, but I'll mention the main important ones, such as him having abstract existence, as he and the other god hands is compromised of thoughts, embodying the human's minds. Griffith's own presence was also able to make the surrounding beings to go insane, grabbing Skull Knight's slashes that can cut through space. Possesses a very strong luck and much more. And as it was Idea of Evil who bestowed Griffith with his powers, Griffith should also have the same abilities like him, such as controlling destiny and causality. Should be consistent with other statements, such as him being referred as the author that controls the world's story, which in context for the prior abilities. So who would win in this fight? In terms of attack potency, Saitama should way above Griffith on both low ball and the high ends. Griffith creating a storm is cool, and all but even S-class heroes surpass way above those feats. Even if you want to argue that Griffith is on a higher plane of existence, both Cosmic Garou and Empty Void are already on that level, and Saitama already can beat them both with ease, especially considering the accelerated growth Saitama has. Even in speed, Saitama still solos even if you want to highball Griffith's speed to Skull Knight, as characters like Empty Void has shown to be able being outside of causality, time itself. Even Genos stated that Saitama would have transcend time itself if the situation becomes too dire, so immeasurable there. However, AP and speed isn't what most matter here, but their abilities, hexes. While it's true Griffith's own presence caused insanity to his surroundings, Saitama's own aura was able to instill fear to others if said person tries to attack him. Well, this situation might become inconclusive, as Saitama could become insane and tries go mad while Griffith is scared shitless of him and ran away. We could skip their passives here, as it would make the fight boring. Now what about Griffith's main hexes like his causality, fate and probability, luck manipulation, could they be used to win against Saitama? Not exactly as previously noted that Saitama has those same abilities hexes, so it would cancel each other out. One last thing to consider is, could Saitama even interact with Griffith's abstract existence? The answer would be yes, as while Griffith and other god hands are made of human thoughts, which would make them untouchable, Saitama beforehand has punched someone's literal thoughts before, like in Phoenix's mental landscape. So it wouldn't be a surprise that Saitama could just karate chop their true forms directly, or even copy their powers like he did with Cosmic Guru. So in conclusion, Saitama simply wins with his higher AP and speed. While Griffith's arsenal of hexes are dangerous, potentially bring slaughter to a lot of characters in fiction, Saitama isn't one of them, as he has answers to all of them, and would only need one punch to end the fight.